There comes a moment in every life when you feel like something inside you has shattered. Maybe it was the betrayal of someone you trusted or the loss of something you held dear. Maybe it was the slow erosion of hope after carrying a burden for far too long. Whatever it was, it left you broken and the pieces feel too many to count, too sharp to touch, too painful to look at. But let me tell you this, brokenness is not the end. It might feel like death. It might feel like failure. But in the hands of God, brokenness is not destruction, it's reconstruction. You see, we often think that God only uses the strong, the flawless, the whole. But when you read through the lives of those whom God used the most, they were broken men and women, broken by life, broken by choices, broken by sorrow. But they were not abandoned. They were chosen. Because in the very place where the world gives up on you, God begins to work. He does not toss aside the shattered pieces of your life and move on. No, He gathers them one by one, patiently, tenderly, and begins to rebuild something even more beautiful than before. A life that has never been broken is a life that has never truly been shaped. Brokenness allows God to remove what is not of Him, to purify what's been contaminated by this world, and to draw you closer to Him in ways you never imagined. Sometimes the noise of our own plans, the pride of our own strength, and the comfort of our routines keep us from hearing His voice. But brokenness, oh, how it silences the noise when everything crumbles, when there's nothing left to cling to. That's when you hear Him most clearly. It's in the valley of brokenness that we realize we were never meant to stand on our own. And that realization, though painful, is holy. Because once you know you can't fix yourself, you begin to lean on the one who can. When your heart is crushed, when your soul is tired, when your spirit feels like it's been torn in two, that is when God does His most intimate work. He comes not just to fix what's broken, but to dwell with the brokenhearted. And the world may look at you and see a mess. They may call you weak. They may say you've lost it all. But God doesn't look at you and see a ruin. He looks at you and sees raw potential. He sees a vessel He can fill. A life He can use, a heart He can make whole again, not in spite of the brokenness, but through it. Think about a stained glass window. It's made of many broken pieces of glass, shattered, sharp, useless on their own. But when placed together with care and vision, they form something breathtaking. And when the light shines through it, the beauty cannot be denied. That's your life in God's hands. You may be broken, but you're being made into something greater than you ever imagined. Not despite your pain, but because of it. Some of you are walking around with broken dreams, broken relationships, broken trust. And you think that's the end of the story. But what you call broken, God calls beginning. What you call damaged, God calls useful. What you call empty, God is ready to fill. His power is made perfect in weakness. And His grace does not require you to be whole before He works. In fact, it's often the very act of being broken that prepares you to receive His grace fully. You don't have to have it all together. You don't need to understand why the pain came. You don't need to explain your tears or hide your scars. What you do need is to bring the pieces. Just bring them. Lay them down. Let Him gather what's left of you and start again. Because no matter how many times you've been broken, no matter how many pieces lie scattered on the floor of your life, God has never needed perfection to begin His work. He just needs surrender. And maybe that's where you are right now. You're not asking for answers, you're just hoping for peace. You're not demanding explanations, you're just desperate for healing. Friend, it starts with knowing that your brokenness is not a barrier to God. It's an invitation. An invitation for Him to come close, to do what only He can do, and to show you that what feels like the end is only the beginning. There's a kind of pain that words can't describe. The kind where you sit in a room full of people and yet you feel invisible. You walk through your day doing everything right, but deep inside you're falling apart. And the hardest part? Nobody sees it, nobody notices. You smile when you want to cry. You say, I'm fine, when your soul is screaming. That silence, the kind that lives behind your eyes, is the heaviest burden of all. And in those moments, the enemy will whisper, you're alone. No one cares. No one sees you. But that's a lie. Because even when no one else sees, God does. When others are too busy to notice the pain you hide, when even those closest to you don't ask the questions they should, the Lord is paying attention. His eyes are on you in the quiet hours. He knows what you're going through, even when you don't have the strength to pray about it. You may be overlooked by people, but you are never overlooked by God. You see, people are limited. They can't always see what's happening beneath the surface. They judge by appearances, by moods, by the few words we offer, but God sees differently. He sees the broken thoughts in the middle of the night. He sees the tears that fall silently into your pillow. He sees the questions you don't know how to ask and the answers you desperately need. He sees the weight you carry that others walk right past. And that's why you must never confuse being unseen by people with being forgotten by God. Some of the most powerful moves of God happen in seasons of silence. You may not feel anything. You may not see anything changing. But God is not idle. He's not distant. He is closer in those moments than you could ever imagine. The silence is not absence, it's intimacy. It's the quiet space where He holds you when no one else knows you're breaking. Sometimes God allows the silence of others so that you'll lean more on the sound of His voice. Because if everyone else always saw you, always knew what you needed, you might never discover the one who truly knows you. You might never feel the depth of His presence. So yes, people may miss the signs, they may overlook the cracks, but God sees it all. And more than just seeing, He cares. He doesn't just observe your suffering from a distance. He steps into it. He joins you in it. When your heart is aching, His heart is moved. When your spirit feels crushed, He draws near. The scripture says He is close to the brokenhearted, not just aware of them close. That means He's not watching your pain from a throne far away. He's sitting beside you in it. He's holding you up when you feel like collapsing. He's listening to the prayers you never said out loud. And even when you can't feel His presence, that doesn't mean He's not there. You may think, if He sees me, why doesn't He fix this? But often what He's fixing is not just your circumstances, it's your heart. Sometimes He doesn't remove the fire because He's refining you in it. Sometimes He doesn't stop the storm because He wants to anchor you in it. But all the while He's there, watching, weeping with you, working in ways you can't yet see. The world teaches us that if no one notices us, we must not matter. But God operates on a different truth. He says, I saw you before you were born. I formed you. I know the number of hairs on your head. I know your thoughts before you speak them. That's not the kind of knowing that fades when people stop paying attention. That's not the kind of seeing that gets distracted. That's perfect, eternal awareness. That's love that never sleeps. Some of you have felt unseen for so long that you've started to believe it's your identity. You've convinced yourself you don't matter, that you're too broken to be noticed, too silent to be heard. But today I want you to know the God who made the stars and called them by name also knows your name. He sees your story. He sees your struggle. And He hasn't turned away. You don't have to perform for His attention. You don't have to pretend for His approval. You are fully seen, fully known, and still deeply loved. Not despite your pain, but even in the midst of it. The world may not see the value in your tears, but heaven does. And one day those tears will be wiped away not by time, not by distraction, but by the very hands of the one who watched them fall. Pain is one of those things we try to avoid at all costs. We run from it, hide from it, numb ourselves against it. And yet pain is one of the greatest teachers we will ever encounter. It is painful to admit, but there is purpose in your pain. That hurt you feel right now, the brokenness, the sorrow, the wounds that won't seem to heal is not random. It's not meaningless. It is part of a divine process that you may not understand yet, but one day you will look back and see the hand of God working through it all. God doesn't bring pain to destroy you. He allows it because he knows it can reveal something powerful in you, something the comfort of easy days could never bring out. When you walk through the valley of suffering, something deep inside is being awakened. The pain strips away the false, the superficial, the things that keep you from being fully who God created you to be. It exposes what is real. It opens your eyes to what truly matters. It humbles your pride, awakens your faith, and softens your heart. You see, when everything is going well, it's easy to believe we are in control, that we can handle life on our own. But pain has a way of shaking us awake. It reminds us that we are not the masters of our fate, that we are not self-sufficient. It forces us to look beyond ourselves, to seek help from a power greater than ourselves. In that sense, pain is a gateway, a door that leads us into dependence on God, into a deeper relationship with Him. There's also a way in which pain prepares you for something greater. It equips you with strength that only comes from having been tested. It gives you empathy for others who hurt. It makes your testimony more powerful because it comes from a place of real struggle. The scars you bear are not marks of failure, they are proof of survival. They tell a story of endurance and hope. It's important to understand that pain doesn't just reveal your brokenness, it reveals your resilience. When you feel broken, remember that resilience is born in the furnace of hardship. Every time you choose to keep going, every time you refuse to give up, you are growing stronger. You are becoming a living example that even in the darkest nights, the dawn is coming. Sometimes the purpose of pain is not only personal healing, but also the healing of others. Your suffering can become a source of comfort to someone else. Your story of pain transformed into purpose can encourage someone who feels they are alone in their struggle. You become a light in the darkness for others because you know the way out. You understand the path through the storm because you've walked it yourself. Many times God allows what He hates, pain, loss, brokenness, to accomplish what He loves. Growth, transformation, and preparation for a greater purpose. He never takes pleasure in our suffering, but He can use it to bring about good. This is the mystery of grace, that out of suffering can come beauty, out of sorrow, joy, out of brokenness, restoration. So when you are in pain, don't rush to bury it or run from it. Face it with courage. Ask God to show you what He wants to do in your heart through this season. Ask Him to give you strength to endure and faith to believe that something good is coming. Because it is in the struggle that God's power is often revealed most clearly. And if you feel like your pain has no purpose, remember this: God sees your pain as a seed. Seeds must be buried in darkness before they grow into something new and alive. Your pain is not wasted. It's working beneath the surface, preparing you for a harvest of blessing and purpose. The next time you find yourself overwhelmed by your hurt, remind yourself that your pain is not the end of your story. It is a part of the story, a necessary part. You are being shaped by it, refined by it, and equipped through it. What you are going through right now is not just about suffering, it's about becoming. There is a powerful strength that comes from honesty, not the kind that comes from pretending everything is fine when it's not, but the kind that comes from facing your brokenness head on. Too often, when people feel broken, they try to hide it. They put on a mask, they keep their pain locked away, and they go about their lives pretending that nothing is wrong. But healing never begins in pretense. Healing begins when you stop pretending you're fine. Healing begins when you are brave enough to admit the truth of your pain. You don't have to be strong all the time. That's a lie. The world tells us a lie that says vulnerability is weakness. But the truth is that vulnerability is courage. It takes strength to say, I'm hurting, I don't know how to fix this, or I need help. It takes courage to let others see the cracks, the wounds, the places where you feel like you're falling apart. And when you do that, when you step out of the shadows of silence and into the light of truth, healing can begin. Healing starts with surrender, not surrender in defeat, but surrender in trust. It means letting go of the need to control everything, the need to appear perfect, the need to have all the answers. It means bringing your brokenness to God and saying, here I am. I can't fix this on my own. I need you. When you surrender like that, you open the door for God's healing power to come in. Sometimes we try to fix our brokenness ourselves. We turn to temporary fixes, distractions, addictions, unhealthy relationships, anything to numb the pain or cover the cracks. But those things only hide the brokenness, they don't heal it. True healing comes when you stop running and face your pain with honesty. When you stop pretending and start seeking God's help. When you open your heart and let Him begin the restoration. There's a beautiful story in the Bible about a woman who had been broken in many ways, physically, emotionally, spiritually. She had spent all she had trying to be healed by doctors, but nothing worked. She was at the end of herself. Then she heard about Jesus, and she did something brave. She reached out to touch His cloak, believing that if she could just touch Him, she would be healed. And she was. The moment she touched Him, her healing began. That woman's story reminds us that healing often begins with faith to admit our need and faith to reach out. It's the moment you stop pretending you're fine and start believing that God can make you whole again. It's the moment you stop hiding and start seeking. It's the moment you stop pretending and start trusting. And healing is not always instant. Sometimes it's a process. Sometimes it requires patience and perseverance, but it always requires honesty. You cannot heal what you do not acknowledge. You cannot fix what you refuse to see. So don't be afraid to be real with yourself, with God, and with those you trust. Let go of the mask. Let go of the pride. Let the healing begin. You are not alone in your brokenness. Many have walked this path before you, and many will walk it after you. But the difference between those who remain broken and those who are healed is honesty to face the truth, and honesty to seek God's restoration. When you choose to be honest, you invite God's grace to meet you right where you are. Yes. When you feel broken, one of the most dangerous voices you can hear is the voice that tells you it's over, that you're finished, that there's no hope left, that you will never be whole again. That voice is not from God. It's the enemy whispering lies into your heart, trying to convince you that your story is finished before the last page has even been written. But I'm here to tell you that no matter how dark it looks right now, it is not over. Your story is far from finished. The enemy wants you to believe that your brokenness is permanent, that you are beyond repair, that your mistakes, your pain, your failures define you forever. He wants you to give up, to stay stuck, to stop fighting for the life God has planned for you. But God's truth cuts through that lie like a sword. God says, I will restore you. I will redeem you. I will make you whole again. His promise is not just a hope, it is a guarantee. You see, God is not limited by your past. He is not bound by your failures. The same God who created the stars and called them by name can breathe new life into the shattered pieces of your heart. The God who raised Jesus from the dead can raise you from the depths of despair. Nothing is impossible with him. It's easy to feel defeated when the pain is so deep, when the wounds seem too wide, when the burdens seem too heavy. But defeat is not the final word for the child of God. The final word is victory. Victory over sin, victory over pain, victory over the enemy's lies. The battle may be hard. The fight may be long. But you are not fighting alone. God is with you. He is your strength when you are weak. He is your shield when you feel vulnerable. He is the light that shines in the darkest night. And he promises that no weapon formed against you will prosper. That means the enemy's plan to keep you broken will fail. It means that even though you may fall, you will rise again, because God's power is made perfect in weakness. The story of restoration is woven throughout Scripture. Time and again we see broken men and women who God picked up and used for his glory. Moses, who doubted himself. David, who sinned deeply but was forgiven. Peter, who denied Jesus but was restored to lead. Their brokenness was never the end of their story. It was the beginning of a new chapter. And that same promise applies to you. Whatever your brokenness looks like, whether it's a failed relationship, a lost dream, addiction, regret, or heartbreak, it's not the end. It is not the final chapter. God is still writing your story, and he has not given up on you. His grace is bigger than your mistakes. His mercy is greater than your pain. His love is stronger than your failures. You may not see it yet. You may not feel it now, but God is at work. He is restoring what was lost. He is redeeming what was broken. And he will make you whole again. So when the enemy whispers those lies, it's over for you. You will never be fixed. You are too broken. Reject them. Speak God's truth over your life. Declare that you are a child of the Most High, that you are loved, that you are chosen, that you are destined for greatness. Stand firm in the promises of God and refuse to let the lies take root. When life feels broken, it's easy to believe that your story has come to a tragic end, that the chapters you wished for will never be written, that the pages have been torn apart and thrown away. But here's a truth that many fail to see: your story is not over. It is being rewritten. The God who sees your brokenness is the very God who holds the pen in his hand, and he is still writing your story. What looks like an ending to you is actually a new beginning, an opportunity for God to craft something far more beautiful than you ever imagined. Think about it. Sometimes the most powerful stories come not from a life without struggle, but from a life marked by overcoming. The greatest testimonies are those where brokenness meets restoration. The chapters of despair give way to chapters of hope. The moments of loss are followed by moments of unexpected joy. When you feel like your story is falling apart, that is often the moment God is preparing to show up in a fresh way. God is the author of your life, and he has a plan for every page. He is not finished with you yet. Even when you can't see the bigger picture, he is weaving together every detail with purpose. What feels like ruin today may be the raw material God uses to build something new tomorrow. Sometimes the greatest beauty is born out of the ashes of our pain and brokenness. There's a comforting image in Scripture of God as a potter shaping clay. When the pot is broken, the clay is not discarded, it is reshaped, reformed, and made whole again. That is what God does with your life. He doesn't throw away the broken pieces. He gathers them carefully and molds them with his hands, turning your brokenness into a masterpiece. The cracks in your life are not flaws, but places where his grace can shine through. You may feel like the mistakes, the failures, the heartbreaks are permanent stains on your story, but God's grace covers every mark. His mercy writes over every error. Your past does not define your future. The story of your life is dynamic, fluid, and full of possibility because it is held by the one who never fails. This means that the pain you've endured, the battles you've fought, and the losses you've suffered are not wasted. They are part of a greater narrative, one of redemption, renewal, and hope. Your broken chapters can be the foundation for a powerful comeback. Your wounds can become the source of your wisdom. Your struggles can fuel your strength. Remember, every great story has moments of tension and conflict, moments when the hero feels defeated. But what sets those stories apart is that the hero doesn't give up. They press on, they grow, and they become stronger through the challenges. And that is exactly what God wants for you. He wants you to know that your brokenness is not the final word, that there is more to your story than pain. God's hands are steady, His vision is clear, and His love is unwavering. He is the one who turns tragedy into triumph, despair into hope, and brokenness into beauty. He is rewriting your story, and it is a story worth telling. So hold on to hope. Don't let the darkness convince you that your story is finished. The very fact that you are here breathing and still fighting is proof that the next chapter is waiting to be written. Trust in the one who holds your future and watch as He takes your broken pieces and transforms them into something extraordinary.